Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast. As you know, I am your host, Jasmar Jazz Bennett, mother, educational leader, and of course, podcast and event host. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and ask you to please do me a favor. I would love for you to be a part of my Jazzy crew, and in being a part of my Jazzy crew, it is very simple. I just need for you to make sure that you are following me here on Instagram via my Jazzy Conversations with Jazz account. Make sure you're following me here and on Facebook under the same name and account. Then I want you to go ahead and log on to Jazzy Conversations with Jazz via YouTube and all podcast platforms. So whatever your favorite podcast platform is, I need for you to make sure that you are subscribing to my podcast there. Subscribe to my podcast on YouTube, become a member of the Jazzy crew, make sure that you catch the latest and greatest episodes, and make sure that you go back into the vault because we now are about to have 96 episodes. And so I need for you to make sure that you catch up because I know there's a lot of you who have not caught up, but I also know that there's a lot of you who don't miss an episode. So thank you so much and happy Monday again. I want to say hi to everyone that I see. I'm waving to you guys. Come in. Make sure that you guys are sharing this podcast. Make sure that you guys are engaging. I want to know where you're looking from. I want to know where you are listening from as well when you guys get the opportunity to listen to the podcast. I see that my special guest, she's already ready. She's already ready to be brought on camera, and she will be brought on camera momentarily. But I wanted to say happy Monday with all of the gusto that you guys know that I have. You know that I love me a Monday. Monday is bae to me. I always say that to you because it's a time for you to reset, restart, refocus your week. You know, and it's that opportunity for you guys to get on a great trajectory with your new goals. And so I did a video versus my normal and standard way of welcoming another glorious Monday. So I did a video instead. And so if you are following me, you caught that video. So I want you to go back and listen to it because I said that I was going to show up unapologetically. I was going to show up without needing permission to be great, you know? So that's how we need to show up each and every day here in this world. And so that's what I'm going to do. And then plus I'm getting the zeal. I'm getting the energy from you guys because you are wondering about my 2-year podcast anniversary show. And I cannot wait to make the official announcement. I don't even want to tell you to save the date yet, although I do want to, but I'm not going to. Just in your mind, in your heart, save the date because it is coming very soon. And when I say very soon, I mean very soon. And when I say that the tickets are available, I need for you to buy your ticket as soon as you can because last year's show sold out, and you know that this show is going to sell out as well. So thank you to all of my supporters who encourage me and just say, Jazz, just let me know when and the ticket is bought. Like if some people wanted to buy their tickets right now and I'm almost about to let you do it. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it because my motto is we have but one life to live, and it is our charge that we live that life to the fullest, that we do what God has purposed us to do on this earth. And so I am going to tell you that this episode is inspired by the people that I know around me who have experienced loss. This episode pays homage to your life now in the continuation of you living your life. This episode serves as a monument of reflection, a monument of you living for your loved one who's no longer physically here, but spiritually still here with us. And we carry their legacy, we carry their thoughts, we carry the thought of them, we carry the legacy that they left, we carry their laugh, we carry the principles that they taught us, we carry their love with us. And so this episode is to pay homage to them. This episode is to provide you with the necessary tools needed in order to get on that road of healing. I wanted to do this episode so that you would understand the emotions that you are going through and so that you will not feel that you are alone, because there are, in fact, support groups for you. I wanted to do this episode because I know the hurt all too well. I wanted to do this episode because I love you and I want to see you heal and I want to see you healthy and I want to give you a bright spot in your day. The day that seems very hard to even manage, the day that seems so hard for you to even get out of the bed, the day that you feel that you just can't do it. I wanted to say that I see you. I wanted to say that you have people around you who care about you, who love you, and we want to be able to show up in the best way that we can. I wanted to do this episode so that we all can heal and understand and process what we're going through. And so I have a special guest that agreed to do this show, and she's a professional, a doctor in her field of study. And so my special guest for episode 96 is Dr. Kimberly Kinsler. She's a licensed clinical psychologist and a licensed clinical social worker. So along with her husband, she is the co-owner of Kinsler Psychology, which started solely, and she was a sole entrepreneur, or she was a sole employee at the practice nearly 15 years ago. So they've been in business for 15 years. Today, she and her staff provide a comprehensive mental health service, including counseling, psychological testing, and medication management, in addition to the specialties in behavioral management and autism assessment. Now, she's versatile. She works with a lot of individuals of all ages. She gives speeches. She's conducted workshops. She's been on a plethora of different podcasts. So I am so elated to have her here on my podcast. She provides trainings for entrepreneurs and business owners. She has worked in the mental health field for over 20 years. She's also a U.S. veteran of the United States Army, serving at duty stations in Texas and in Germany. So she definitely understands the trauma of soldiers. She specializes in management for PTSD, and she also enjoys addressing the needs of her clients who have endured traumatic experiences. She's worked with the local school district as well for over 10 years, and she understands special needs of kids in the special education services and advocacy for them as well. She's currently writing a book about improving the relationships between parents and children, as well as a children's book. So for more information on her book and more information on Dr. Kinsler, I want you to go ahead and visit her website. I'm going to give it to you at the top of the show, but it's www.kinslerpsychology.com, and subscribe to her social media sites. And so without further ado, I am going to Kinsler. So I want you to make sure again that you guys are putting where you guys are watching from. I want you to say hello. Say hello, good people. Say happy Monday and all of that good stuff. And you're going to purchase it. Dr. Kinsler, I already have a purchase for your book. I'm going to try to request you. We had this issue last week. So I'm trying to figure out if it's a setting that I have on my phone that just occurred, because my phone has been doing some wacky things. So thank you, Sora. Actually, one of my line sisters stated that she's going to purchase your book. And so I'm going to use some sales, Dr. Kinsler. I love it. I love it. So who else is going to make sure that they purchase the book? Because I know I'm going to as well. I love a good book. And so, Dr. Kinsler, I am requesting you. So let's see if when I request you, it will come on. So happy Monday. Happy Monday. Let me know where you are looking from. And I don't think Instagram likes me as of like right now. I don't know why it doesn't like me right now. So we have a Coe, Florida in the building. I see one of my sorors there. There we go. Hi, Dr. Kinsler. How are you?
Hi, I'm glad, Jesse. Thank you for having me on. And
Thank you
let me
so
just
much for
say,
being on.
congratulations. 96 episodes, that's a lot. Way to go.
It Listen, it is a lot, and people keep telling me they're like, I think they're like, Jazz, if you just stop today and just rebrand it, like you would have at least like 10 seasons, maybe even more than 10 seasons of a podcast. And so I've been thinking about it
Oh,
because my children said that
all
they want to
right.
be the guest for episode 100. So I may stop at episode 100. We'll see, and we'll see how things can rebound. But how are you?
I am well. I am well. Thank you again for having me. This topic.
Yeah.
It's something that we've all experienced. So I am actually looking forward to talking with you about it and just sharing some information for your listeners.
And thank you. Thank you so much for being so willing, so accommodating. I know that you are very busy, and I always appreciate people's time and especially their expertise. And so just know that this means so much to me that you decided to give me your time and your expertise for this topic.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. My
Thank
pleasure.
you. So,
This is the work that I love to do.
and it seemed like it. It seemed like it when you were suggested. It seemed like it when we had our conversation. It seemed like this is your passion. This is what you love to do, and so that makes it all more meaningful. And as we conversed, we discussed. We know that everyone eventually will experience loss, or they've already experienced the loss of someone very near and dear to them. So it was just placed on my heart to do the show. So I'm excited. I'm ready to hear about, this healing process. I'm ready to hear about, the ways that we can really, really dive into what we are experiencing. I'm going to say before we do get into it, though, I know I read your bio, but tell me how your Monday is going and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my Monday. Let me just tell you, one of the things I'm excited about is we are actually entering our 17th year. So
Woo!
I thank you. I started by myself subletting a room from someone a couple nights a week. And now
Wow.
we have I have a fabulous team around me. So it seems like I'm doing all this stuff and I'm doing great, but really I've got these really awesome people around me. And so I appreciate how they make me look because they're fabulous. They are
And thank
absolutely.
you for being a testament to just start, because to hear that you have started with just having one room and you sublet it from someone, like, thank you for being the
Yeah.
testimony to somebody who doesn't know how to start right
Oh my
now.
goodness. And we are actually in the process of building our own office.
Oh,
So that's been a journey. It's going to be located right across the street from the outlet mall in Pasco on 54. So we're super excited about that. So that's the journey that we're on right now. We've got 6 more weeks until we can get out of this rented building and into our own. But,
congratulations to that. I
yeah.
love that. I love that a lot. So tell me, what do you do? What do you do in your spare time? Because I often wonder this about people who are in the field of psychology, psychiatry, etc. How do you release? Like, how do you let your job go? How do you just decompress? I think would be a good term for it.
Okay. So one of the things I think that makes me the person that I am is my ability to compartmentalize
Yeah.
so that whatever I experience doesn't spread into every aspect of my life. Um, you hear a lot about burnout and things like that among healthcare professionals. But what I've been blessed to be able to do is when I'm with a patient, I am 100% in. I am all in at that moment. And I'm here, we're focused on you. But once I'm finished with that patient, if there's something that I need to research or look up, then I'll take care of that. But when I go to the next patient, I am 100% all in for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that helps me to not get overwhelmed.
Hmm.
But I have a lot of amazing projects. I think I've become a serial entrepreneur almost.
There's nothing wrong with that. So you get pleasure out of doing that. That's like it's your job, but is it also your place of solace as well?
Yes, this is where I can come. And even though I have the ability to work virtually, and um, that's great. If I really, really need to get stuff done, I can come into my office, and it's a good place for me. It's a calming place. I come
Yeah.
in and do whatever I need to do. But again, my passion is being able to help. Being able, our motto is, our mantra is help when life hurts.
Yeah.
And so that
Oh, I love that.
really truly
To
is a
help
passion.
when life hurts. I love that a lot. Yeah. What made you what made you go into this realm of being an author? Because I was very intrigued to see that your next venture also is the fact that you have a book that talks about the relationships between parents and their children, and you also are coming out with a children book. So what sparked that venture for
Okay.
you?
So the book with parents and children, that is encouraging parents and children to connect. So for my family, of course, everyone's grown now, but for my family, we always ate together. I don't care if it was a Subway sandwich or pizza. We were
Yeah.
all at the table together, and I grew up that way. And as I entered the mental health field, I was able to actually see that as a parent, you can really tell a lot sitting 3 feet from your child. You can
Yeah.
tell whether or not they actually had a good day, because typically when you ask a teenager, "Oh, how was your day?" They say, "Fine," and off they go to their room
Yeah.
and onto their devices. And you really don't know, was it actually fine? You don't know. But if you sit in front of me, there's no facade. I will
Hmm.
know if
Hmm.
your day was fine because I can watch you eat your food. And if you're
Yeah.
picking through it, or you say you're not hungry, and you might not be hungry once or twice, but if I'm noticing a pattern, then I can ask, "Hey, why aren't you eating? I noticed this. You've been looking down. We're all talking and laughing at the table, but you have nothing to say. What's really going on?"
Yeah.
So being face to face with your child more than just on holidays, it gives you a lot of insight into their world, into what's really happening. So I really encourage parents, and that's the premise of the book.
Okay.
Now, the children's book has nothing to do with mental health.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it has nothing to do with mental health. It's I have two girls and a boy,
Okay.
and one of my daughters has her own tea business, and
That's awesome. Mhm.
yes, fairy tale teas,
How old
and
is she?
she is actually 26.
Okay.
Oh yeah, my
Awesome.
kids are big.
Okay.
I've got 34, 26, and 21. So I don't have any more
Okay.
babies.
Look, when
But
you said tea, I'm like, oh, she's so cute. She having a tea party. Look, yeah, I went there.
a lot of people do. A lot of people do. But
Okay.
no, my kids are big. My kids are grown.
Okay.
Um, so it's about it's about a princess, and it's called The Making of Her Majesty, the
Oh,
Leap Fairy Godmother.
I love that. And
Thank
so
you.
does it just take it through, or take the reader through her growing and kind of understanding her worth or the
Mhm.
world around her? Is that kind of like the premise of it?
And well, understanding how it's a, of course, fictional story um, about how she became the lead fairy godmother,
Okay.
and just exploring gifts that children have, and encouraging parents to actually look at their child and see the giftings in their own child, because every child is unique. Every child's not going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and shout out to those who are,
Yeah.
but every child
Yeah.
is not going to do that. We have authors, we have, you know, administrators, we have mechanics, we have all these different things, and they're all giftings, and the world needs all of them.
All of them. Awesome. I love that. I love that. So I know that people are tuned in to dive into the topic, and
Mhm.
you heard us talk about the book, and I did mention the website that you can purchase the book from, and we'll go ahead and we'll mention that at the end of the show
Okay.
as well. But I want to dive in. I want to start by diving into the 5 stages of grief. And when I was kind of doing research on it, there's a toss up between whether there's 5 or 6. And so under your guys and your practice, what is that number? And then can you take us through what they are?
Okay. So most of the time, people that you're talking about, Elizabeth E. Kubler-Ross, those stages of grief. And unfortunately, that research has kind of debunked those stages.
Okay.
But so I don't want to only focus on those, but
Okay.
but they are a very good guide.
Okay.
And there's no, when you talk about dealing with grief, there's no one way. You know, I think when people look at Kubler-Ross's stages of grief, we assume that, okay, you have to go through, you know, denial, anger, bargaining,
Right.
you know, you have to go through those stages. And that is not the case. In reality, we bounce back and forward, up and down, side to side, because grief hits a lot of us differently. In fact, there are some people who never shed a tear until 6, 7 months, a year afterwards. Everything is just so bottled up that they're not able to. And then one day it just hits and they break down.
Yeah. I feel like I was like that when my father died, because I've in terms of family members, you know, the two deaths in my family that really, really hit me hard were my grandmother and my father. And I lost my father 2 years ago. And I don't, it's not a it's not a fantasy of death per se, but sometimes you're left with your thoughts. And I just remember sometimes my thoughts would go to, oh my God, how would I react if I lost my mom right now? Or how would I react like if I lost my father? And I would just be like, oh, they're gonna have to drag me out of the church. They're gonna have to, like, I'm not gonna be able to deal. And so when my father passed away, I did not recognize my grief because I didn't expect me to act the way that I did or respond the way that I did. And I wasn't like it wasn't like an outpouring of sorrow. It was, but physically, if you looked at me, you may not have been able to tell it, because when you're like, your key word that you said was, you know, you bottled it up. And so when I went to the wake for me was the hardest thing to do, because that's your first time seeing them, you know, in that state. Most of the time it's your first time seeing them in that final resting state. And I cried then, and I don't remember crying. I cried one night because I remember my son was laying in the bed with me, and it came out of nowhere. I was asleep, and I literally woke myself up crying. And my child was there, and he was like, "Are you okay? You know, it's okay, mommy. It's okay." Like I couldn't control it. And that's like that time. And literally about 3 months ago, I was just getting out of the shower. Like the radio was playing and everything, and it just hit me all at once, and I just could not stop. And so I appreciate you saying that, because I felt like, is there something wrong with me? Because I don't feel like I'm going through these stages. Like and you know, before this interview, I learned about it because I went to, it was like a yoga class, and they ended with, you know, I don't know why we ended with the stages of grief, but we did. But me going through that, I didn't think I was going to be able to survive, like precursor to his death, but it was just totally different afterwards. So it's I feel comforted knowing that it's not like a checklist that, okay, now let's check off denial. Now let's check off, you know what I mean? So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. And I appreciate the comment. I saw they're right. It's not linear. That's a good way to describe it. So
Yeah.
you don't just check off this phase. Okay, I'm going to be in this phase for X number of months or weeks or days or whatever, and now on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there's a lot of factors that impact how we grieve. So we have our cultural beliefs, our
Right.
spiritual beliefs, what happens to the person after they pass, and the kind of relationship that we had with that person.
Mm-hmm.
There are many times, I think what's most difficult for people is, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
when they, grab something to drink, is when they encounter the loss of a loved one and there was unfinished business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now, how do you get resolution? But
Mm-hmm.
that is one of the things that really, really impact a person's grief.
Yeah.
What
So
was our relationship like?
how do you help your how do you help your patients who come to you and they have those cliffhanger moments? Because I think what helped me was the fact that my father was sick for a long time, and I think I had been preparing myself, and I think what gave me solace was the fact that I really truly believe that he's in a better place where he's not hurting anymore, and my love for him just that I know that's the only thing that gives me solace is that my dad is not suffering
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And honestly, like, because and I had time to kind of prepare because he was in hospice, and so I got the time to give closure to myself because I just remember telling him, "You have been the best father. Like,
Oh,
I have
wow.
never wanted for anything. I appreciate everything that you've ever done for me." I said it to him. I got to say it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you help people who don't get to do that? I have a very close friend of mine that suffered the loss of her son, and it hit all of us very hard because it was unexpected. And he was thriving. He had goals. He wanted to start his own business, and the goals are still there because what he wanted. And it's just like a tragic accident just occurs. And like how what is your method of telling that type of client, patient? How do
Well,
you evoke healing with that type of patient?
let me answer two things actually for you. One, you talked about um, how do we address when something unexpected happens, and then how do I walk with my patients? So I would begin by saying, I I make it very clear. I do have very strong spiritual beliefs. I don't try to hide them. I do, but
Perfect. You
I
are great for this show. Thank you.
but I recognize that I am not the source. I am not Jesus. I am not God for anyone. I am a resource, and so that's how I see myself. So now, with that in with that in mind, I I don't view myself as this grand healer. I
Yeah.
use the gift that God has given me with the training and the tools. I use those. So I am not the healer.
Right.
It's not
Right.
Dr. K. But
Right.
one of the things that's very helpful is to have a safe space for people to just talk and cry. So many times when people experience loss, the people around them have a hard time handling it. They don't know what to do or say. In reality, you don't have to say anything. Many times you just have to be present. And if the person who's had the loss, if they feel that they've got to protect you from their emotions, then they're not going to be able to go through this process because they'll bottle it up, and whenever something might come out, they will stifle it because they don't want you to hurt. And you may not know how to handle their tears, or certainly the message may be that the person I'm in front of doesn't know how to handle these tears. You might be able to handle them, right after the loss, right after the death, or at the funeral, maybe a week later, two tops. But now it's been 3-4 months, it's been a year. Why are you still crying? People may feel that way, and they may not know what to do for that person. So that's most definitely where counseling can come in, to give people that safe space to go through their own journey. Now, you also mentioned what happens when you have an unexpected loss. You were able to kind of plan and begin to prepare emotionally for the loss of your father. But in the case of a friend who's lost a child, we all expect to go before our children. That's what we expect. In fact, I'm going to be, as a parent, that's really what I want. I want my kids to have a long life. And so absolutely, that is heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. But one of the ways we approach it from a mental health perspective, a spiritual / mental health perspective, because I'm going to give you that, is, excuse me for coughing, is understanding that not woe is me, but that God still loves me. That this has happened to me, but it has not changed his love for me. And it hasn't changed the fact that if he had something for me, he still has it for me. But for whatever reason, he saw fit to allow this horrible thing to happen. Now, that's not going to stop me from being mad at him right away. I might be mad at him for a while, and I may even turn away. But for addressing this kind of loss from a spiritual and mental health perspective, I have to have purpose. When you have purpose, then you can keep moving. Sometimes people ask me, what do I do? And I'll say, I'm a purveyor of hope. That's what I do. I sell hope, because hope keeps you moving forward. And so even through that great loss, where does hope come in? If we can get to the hope, then we can get you through it. So.
You have, because I tried to anticipate what your response was going to be to that question. And I know you started off by saying, I am not the healer, because, God is that person. You're a vessel that offers, support and the measures to be able to start the healing. And so what are the indicators that someone can watch out for that would tell them, I need to talk to someone, I need counsel in this area, versus I think that I can manage this grief on my own. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to just lean in on my family. What are what are the precursors? Because I don't want to say guidelines, but what would one need to look out for to be able to say or determine, I think I need somebody else to step in and help me with this and help me process this?
One of the things, now, I will say sometimes that person who's in it might not be able to recognize, but the people around them might recognize before they do, because they may see, oh wait, this person is stuck. Perhaps perhaps there's still there's regular grief, and when I say regular grief, feelings of sadness, just dealing with the loss, coping, gradually coming back, going through those stages that you were mentioning before. And then there's complex grief, where the person is not able to function. Perhaps from a spiritual perspective, they may feel extreme anger at God, and they may decide, you know what, I'm never going back to church. I don't believe in him, because a good God wouldn't wouldn't allow such a horrible thing. You know, if you're so loving, then why did this bad thing happen? And that's a question many people ask all the time.
Right.
And of course, as a resource and not the source, I don't have the answer to that one. But again, we can look out for how they're taking care of themselves. Are they stuck? And when I say are they stuck, I've seen situations where someone lost a loved one maybe years prior, and the room has not changed. Same sheets, same paint on the wall, same everything in that room, and they won't allow anyone to touch it. So sometimes people get stuck. Sometimes there are individuals who may actually need medication. We do medication management, of course, at my office, but sometimes that grief kicks over into depression, where the person might be so sad and so distraught as a result of that loss, they may start to feel suicidal, like there's no point in living, I should just go and be with that person. So you really want to look out for that. Look at, as a loved one of the person who's grieving, be on the lookout for signs that the person might be stuck and for a decline in overall functioning. Are they able to attend to their day-to-day things? Are they able to go to work? Are they able to eat properly? Are they able to sleep? How is their functioning? Those are things to look out for.
And honestly, I would dare to venture off and say that I think you would be describing me of here, and here I go again with how I'm thinking that I would respond to it. But I just think that some losing certain people, I would think that that would be typical, typical of the grieving process to not eat, to not function. Because, there are some people in your life where you would just say, like, I wouldn't be able to function if you weren't here. I just don't know what I would do. And some people have lost that person. They've lost that person that they felt that way about. And the grief is so heavy. And so is it a situation? I know you said that the person going through it may not be able to see it and may not be able to determine whether or not they need to, seek professional assistance in handling it. And I have seen the movies. It's almost like every movie that I see, like if a parent has especially lost a child, suddenly, their room is the same. They will go off on anybody who even tries to go in the room. It's like, not to go in that room. You don't touch anything in that room. And then, you'll see a scene where maybe one of the children will say, well, mom or dad, I'm still here. Like, I'm still alive. Like, it's time to move on. Or it's not cliche, but it's just, I know that those scenes are placed in movies like that because they are things that typically happen surrounding a death of that magnitude. And so it's so heavy on me. And I wanted to be able to provide, answers to an overall healing for people who are experiencing that. And I think just diving into, I don't know if you're able to give some of the strategies or some of the some of the strategies that you use with patients in order to be able to get them on the road to healing. What I do hear is that you offer them a safe space to cry and to talk, which I think are paramount when it comes to healing. what are some of the other things that
Okay.
you do?
Let me just backtrack just for a little bit as well. When you're talking about those normal behaviors, we consider that normal. You know what? I just don't want to eat. I lost my appetite. I just lost someone I love. That is normal. But we also have to, from a mental health perspective, we're looking at how long has this been going on and what has been the outcome. Have you lost 30% of your body weight? I'm just throwing that number out. But we have to look at that. How long has this been going on, and what has the impact been?
Yeah.
To your world, to your change, to your new life. So so now going back to strategies. One of the things that we always recommend, of course, is having a safe space to talk, to emote, to get those feelings out, so that they are not bottled up. But another thing, if you remember, I said I sell hope. Hope is what keeps us moving forward. So what do you have to look forward to? Not just looking at the loss, because we want to look at the loss, but we also have to do what we refer to as reframe. So what was it like with this person? What did I get from them? What tools did they give me? And of course, that's if that was a good relationship. What did you impart in me? Now, what does my future look like? We have to get you to look forward out there, because hope is forward looking.
Yeah.
And so we have to incorporate that. Now, what lessons will you take with you from this person? And that's how we move you forward. As far as compartmentalizing, I'll use that as well. When a person is stuck, and you talked about the room that, maybe the mom won't let anyone go in.
Right.
So being able to deal with that is a part of the healing process. And one of the ways that I like to deal with it when I work with patients who are grieving is I have them, sometimes they'll create a shadow box, like things that are significant that belonged to the person. And so rather than have it all over the house, maybe there's 15 pictures over here, the bedroom over there, there's a bookshelf over here, or maybe instead of having it all over the house, because every place you have it spread, now those feelings, that grief is there and you can't get away from it. But I've got to, and saying as a clinician, I've got to help you not be overwhelmed by those feelings. So one of my roles is to help you contain them. And a shadow box is often perfect for that. If you're, shadow, I'm not sure if your viewers understand, but what we do is they pick out different things, perhaps. Maybe there was a favorite hat the person wore. Maybe they wore glasses, a pocket square, a favorite photo, but all the different things that remind you of that person that you lost. Let's put them together. And you can go Joann's, Michael's, any framer can do that for you. And instead of having stuff all over the house or all over the living space, we can now have it in that one space. And that's a big step in the healing process, because now we've contained it. We've begun to contain the grief. We've begun to contain those feelings of sadness and loss that were just everywhere and permeating every corner of the house.
So I absolutely love that, because as you were talking about it, I was going to say, well, maybe we can have like a box. I've seen where people just dedicate a box space, but I've also seen, with what you're saying, like when people have a shadow box. And recently, for mothers who have miscarried or they've lost, babies, I've seen where people do the shadow boxes too. And I just thought that was such a great idea, like to commemorate the memory of a baby, because I would have never thought to do that. And so I think that I can see it's not about what I think. Obviously, it's
Mhm.
something that works because it's a part of your practice, but I can definitely see how that can work. And I just wanted to acknowledge that I think someone, Stephanie, thank you, Stephanie Malone, for tuning in. She put a description down in the comments, and she just stated that she lost her daughter 4 years ago and her mom 2 years
Oh,
ago, and she's just paying homage to you, and she's just saying, by the grace of God, she's in therapy and she's thriving, and she just said, thank you, Kim.
mhm.
I can't read all of it, but she's just saying thank you, Kim, for what you do. So Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, what Kimberly does is so instrumental to healing.
Absolutely. And it sounds like she's found a new purpose for her to be able to say, by the grace of God, I'm thriving. I think she found a new purpose to keep going, a new passion
Mm-hmm.
that
Do
she
you have
understands.
patience?
I'm sorry?
How do you deal with patients who feel that they're dishonoring, or I'll say that they're dishonoring or betraying their loved one that passed away by moving on? Like, what is it that clicks in their psyche that gives them that permission to be able to move on and seek their purpose and to seek the hope that's in the future? How do you unlock that?
Well, you have to spend some time with the relationship and understand the nature of the relationship they had with the deceased. So, if my relationship with the deceased was such that they always wanted what was best for me, I never lacked for anything, they always encouraged me, kind of like you described your dad,
Mm-hmm.
then it makes sense that, for that someone healthy wants to see you in a healthy place. But all relationships are not like that.
Yeah.
And we know that
Yeah.
all of them are not. So we have to spend some time with the person, understanding the nature of the relationship that they had with the deceased and whether or not it was actually healthy for them.
Yeah.
Because, we live in a fallen world.
That makes
And sometimes
sense.
it's,
That makes sense a lot. I wanted to know, and this comes along. I'm going to ask this question first because I did see it in the comment as well. Someone asked if you could distinguish between the difference, or where is that fine line between religion and medicine. And I think they were referring to, people always equal, not people always, but there are a lot of people who feel that God is the
yeah,
healer of everything, and if you take it to God, like God is all you need,
pray it away.
versus pray it away, versus being able to seek a professional in the medical field to help with those issues. So where is that line?
Okay, that is a wonderful question. And let me tell you, in mental health, we get it a lot. We
Mm-hmm.
get it a lot. So the line is understanding, is truly understanding the nature of God. And God healed the blind man with spit. So we don't get to tell God how to heal us. I don't know if you've ever seen spit on the ground. I don't even want to step on it with my shoe,
Right.
let alone have somebody put it on my eye. So we don't get to tell him how to heal us. He has many ways, and praying is but one.
Yes.
Therapy is another. Surgery is another. There are many, writing and journaling is another. There are so many different ways that he can bring about healing. And we know that his plan for us is good. So if this is what it takes to bring about our healing, then that's what we want to do. But we don't want to limit God to our version of him or our view of him, because he is not limited by that. We are.
Mm-hmm.
but he is not constrained by how we see him.
Yeah. I like that. I like that explanation a lot. I do.
Thank you.
Here's my next question. And I'm just going to ask it because there may be people that think it. Of course, I'm thinking it because I'm asking you. Have you ever experienced a loss and it's hard for you to take the advice that you give people? I've always wondered that out of people who offer counseling, you ever find it where it's hard for you to take the advice that you give people?
I would say yes, because I'm not perfect. So one of the things that, and this is not related to loss, but this is an example. One of the things that we deal with is, families and couples, and a lot of people think that the reasons most couples break up is because of infidelity. It's money.
Please tell us what it is.
It's
Please,
money.
because in today's news, if I see one more of my favorite couples, just tell us about their demise. I don't know what I'm going to do, especially since I haven't married yet. I need some help. I need some. Tell me what the number one thing is so that I would make sure that I hit that up front.
It is money. It's money.
Okay. Yeah.
And being transparent.
Yeah.
So I've been married 30 years. We've had 30 years in February. Thank you.
I need you on for another podcast show, sis.
Yes.
What is your secret?
30 years in February. And so
congratulations.
Knowing that,
yeah,
I think it's probably like year 8 or 10, that we were married. I was like, you know what? We're going to choke each other.
Right.
Let me go take this Dave Ramsey class and find out how to manage money better than what I'm doing.
Oh, that's right. Right.
I had learned about money because I knew that if I'm handling it like this and you're handling it like this and we are not together on it, we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
We're not going to
Yeah.
make it. So I went and took that class, and then later when my girls were adults, I paid for them to take it too.
I love it.
So they learned how to manage money.
Listen, my sister and my brother-in-law paid for me to take it. So I was like, yes. I was like, yep, you can most certainly gift me with that, please, and thank you. Like, I just thank you. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's been a game changer.
Yeah.
Knowing how to manage money. Yes. So we're not perfect. No, absolutely.
Thank you for answering that. I do appreciate that. When we spoke previously, we hit on the topic that loss is not designated just in death. Like, we don't just experience loss in the death of a loved one, but we can go through those moments where we need to heal and we're grieving from other things. So can you expound on that part that we're not boxing in loss in terms of the loss of a loved one always?
Yes, thank you. That is something that a lot of people don't realize, that there's a grieving process as parents with kids. So one of the things that we do a lot, in fact, I did one today. That was my morning. Yes, that was my morning. I did an autism assessment this morning, and then I had counseling this afternoon. So a lot of times as parents, when we're carrying the baby and we have, we're planning for the shower and we have all these things and we have all these hopes and dreams, and we want the absolute best for that child. That's what we want. Mm-hmm. Maybe we want them to go to law school or med school or whatever, but we have these dreams for our child, and we all want our child to do better than we did.
Absolutely.
However, I've worked in the school district. I worked on the pre-K assessment team. I do assessments now. And everyone is not able to do that. For whatever reason, there are a variety of disabilities. And sometimes when parents suspect there's a disability, you know, they go through the process, getting the testing done, and they know there's something going on, but when they see it in a report, they see psychological evaluation, diagnostic impression, and there it is in black and white. And it's so final. And, and they have to understand that I have to approach my child differently now. And they have to grieve the dream, that the loss of the dream that they had for their child. Because for whatever reason, this is what's happening. These are the cards that we've been dealt. And I always kind of frame it as playing a card game. You know, if you ever play card games, a card game or spades or Uno, whatever, you don't like the hand you get, you can't throw it back.
Right.
All you can do is figure out how to play that hand to the best of your ability, whatever the cards are, to the best of your ability. The parent has to grieve the loss of the dream they have for that child. And that's a hard one. That's a very hard one, because there are many people in situations where that child will never leave the house and they'll never be independent. You know, perhaps they might not even get fully toilet trained. So there is grief related to that as well, the loss of a dream.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, you know, I said I know that I was giving myself grace in a lot of areas in my life, because, you know, career-wise, you know, I know for a fact I was going through a grieving process with that. Relationship-wise, I realized something in me that, yeah, I am going through a grieving process, and I think the relationship front, and the thing is, I was going through both of them at the same time. So I think so imagine that. I know you can imagine that, but it's just like yo, I literally am going through these two traumatic things at one time where they are no longer. And yeah, I'm gonna give myself grace, but it's like I realized some things that showed up in me, and I'm like, yeah, that's new, and that's very interesting, like, or that's something that I think you need to deal with. And I never sought counseling, but I always asked about it. You know, I almost feel like it's something that I need to do. I need to explore, because this is a new chapter for me. You know, it's a new landscape in terms of love. It's a new landscape in terms of career path. And it's like, when you think about life, those are the two big things that people talk about, you know, your love interest and your career. And it's like, wow, when both of those things just dramatically change, I was like, Jazz, you got to kind of give yourself grace. Like, you literally, those things are no more. And both of them were like, one was 15 years, one was 20 years. So it's like, we're not talking about small things, small changes here. Like, you're going through some big changes. So give yourself grace. And so, although I was able to navigate that, I won't say that I was able to navigate it 100% in its effectiveness, because I think there are still some things, you know, to deal with. I just want to bring it to the forefront to anyone who are experiencing changes, and who are experiencing, like you said, the idea of something and it is no more because of the cards that you were dealt. You know, like it is not going to happen the way that you wanted it to happen. And so now what? How do you navigate? I'm going to speak to me personally, and it, because it may resonate with other people. I feel that in some regard, I can see where some people may do this in their grieving process, but it's hard for me to let go. It's hard for me to, it is hard for me to move on into that hopeful realm, because I go back and I replay things over and over.
Uh-oh.
And this is what happened. 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 And it's like, why are you replaying this versus moving on? And so I recognized it immediately when you said it, this person is stuck. And it's like I could feel myself fighting my way out, and I fight, every day. But it's like, oh, when you said that, I'm like, ooh, yeah, I see that. Like, yeah, that's stuck. Will have you stuck for a long time and missing out on a lot of stuff. So that's just something I recognize in myself. I'm being transparent.
Okay. No, we appreciate it. So I'll give you my my view of holding on to things from the past. So I think of it like I'm just using my drink, but I think of it like we have let's say you were doing something for 10 years, 15 years, and there's something that is, we're holding on to it, whatever it is. So here we are. My hand has now been, shaped and molded to fit this.
Right.
And you took it away, but I still got that shape.
Right.
So if there's nothing else in it, I'm just going to put that thing back in it. Certainly reminisce or pine or what have you.
Right.
I'm going to go back because it's perfectly shaped for that thing. It still got shape. So, excuse me. I think of, and going back to my spiritual beliefs, just is what it is. So I think of us like a shape, like the shapes. I'm going to do a kind of combination of shape sorter, like the little infant toy, and then a shape shifter, like tell my age, Star Trek. So, or you can kind of mold into any shape. So in our life, our heart, perhaps the shape of whatever, of career, or whatever it is, a relationship, what have you. Maybe it's the shape of an oval. And I've always had a circle in there, and a circle will fit an oval. It'll go in there. It won't fully satisfy it, but it will slide in that little hole. However, when you talk about letting go, sometimes we have to incorporate our spiritual beliefs so that in like a shapeshifter, something that can meld. That's kind of how it's kind of magical, I suppose. But it's one way to think about our spirituality, Jesus, God. And he can go into any shape, and he can completely satisfy whatever that shape is. And it doesn't have to be, an oval and only fit the oval.
Right.
If the loss, the thing that you need, that you're hoping for, that you don't have, is an oval shape, he can come in, he can take care of that. If the thing that you've lost may be a square or a rectangle, he can help you with that too. So we have to be flexible, we have to be open, but just knowing that having hope is really going to keep us moving forward.
I hear you. And I think that, that's the resounding message, of it all is that hope.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you deal with someone who is just full of hopelessness? Like they don't see it, they can't see it. Like is that when you feel that, I guess, what's the precursor for medication? Like, is someone who just, I can't think about the future. I can't get past it. Like, is that really the indicator that it's time to medicate?
No, there are a lot of indicators. I don't want to say just being hopeless, because the person does have to be open to it.
Yeah.
as well. And you have to remember, medication treats symptoms, not necessarily a particular diagnosis. Now, I don't prescribe. I have some fabulous people on my team who do, but medication treats symptoms.
Yeah.
So if I have someone who's hopeless, so we're talking about depression, and we might even be talking about clinical depression, not just sadness or just, a little bit blue, then there are times when it's important to combine medication and counseling. And research has consistently shown that when you combine them, you will have the best outcome. Because remember, medication is going to treat the symptoms, but it's not going to change how you think. And the depression starts here. It's how we see it, how we see the world. Remember, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. It starts here. And it manifests out here. The so is he part is the world. That's what manifests. But counseling will take, by itself, will take longer to change the mindset than counseling and medication combined. So I liken it to imagine pouring, counseling would be the pitcher trying to pour water into a cup, and the cup is moving. The cup is doing this. It's constantly moving because it's not stable.
Yeah.
So some ideas, some new ways will, pour in, they'll splash in, but most of it's going to fall by the wayside. However, medication can come along and hold the cup more steady. It won't be perfectly still, but it'll be more steady. And now the tools and strategies from counseling can come along. We can pour it into you. And now we can fill the cup up. And there are many times that once the cup is full and it's stable and the new ways of approaching life and thinking and having hope have taken root, we can withdraw the medicine because the cup can stand still on its own.
That makes perfectly good sense. Thank you so much. That analogy, yes, that makes perfectly good sense. We talked about group therapy, and you said the person has to be receptive to it. Most of the experiences that I know, like if someone has experienced the loss of a child, even if they've just experienced loss, but I really see it more so if they've experienced the loss of a child, and support groups or because I'm not in the field, so I don't know the difference between you just going to a support group, or is it just a support group, or is it group counseling? Is it group therapy? Can you explain what that is and what the benefits of it would be if someone is receptive to it?
So some groups can be open or they can be closed. And by open, I mean the members come and go at will. Perhaps like AA. AA is an open group.
Right.
You come this week. If you're busy, you don't want to come next weekend, you don't come. Come back, next 6 months. They're open. But closed groups, the individuals have been identified. They're all related to a particular topic, and they're probably time limited. So the person can get counseling in the group setting. And one of the benefits of the group is that you can get feedback from other people. Let's say it's a group to provide support for parents whose children have disabilities. Now we get to hear what other people have tried, and it becomes a networking source of a way of networking. And also many people from the group can go on to become lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Because we have that thing in common. There are also times that people want, maybe they're not ready for one-on-one. Perhaps the one-on-one seems a little bit more intense to them, but group therapy, it's time limited, and perhaps I can sit in the back and just listen until I'm ready to speak. So it gives me that. that kind of comfort that I'm not on
Yeah.
the spot.
Okay, I like that. And when we're just rounding out this interview, which has been amazing. Thank you so much. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, aside from the good book, because we're gonna hit our Bibles,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. But aside from the Bible, what are some forms of literature that one could go um, to help with the grieving and the healing process?
Um, a book that I like that is I have it. I have the phone propped on it too. I almost never go a week without it. Um, I like Total Forgiveness. And at the surface, it doesn't seem like it would relate to grief. But sometimes we have to forgive the person who's deceased. We have to forgive God. There are many things that we may have to forgive, and so that we can begin to move forward. So I do like Total Forgiveness. But as far as a book that is strictly related to grief, um, I don't necessarily, um, I apologize, I don't necessarily have one that's only
Mhm.
related to grief. I tend to incorporate many things
Yeah.
in healing and walking through different journeys. Just,
Hmm.
we like to meet the people where they are. So that's my approach.
I will say, and I will say, as I contemplated, what I titled this episode as, what I felt that my goal was going to be, with it, I started to think, and I know there are a lot of people who truly feel that you will just never 100% heal from death. And then I started to think about healing in itself, like what does it mean? And I started to ponder, is it okay to never 100% heal, but to know how to cope? And so what are your thoughts on that?
I like the way you put that, to never 100% heal. So healing means different things to different people. So what happens when most people deal with grief is that it hurts less over time. As
Hmm.
time passes, the pain lessens. But I don't know if people want to never ever think about their loved one again.
Right,
I don't consider that healing. To
right,
never want to um, look at their picture and smile or have a thought just pop up. It's not so much that you don't think about them, it's how you handle those thoughts, those feelings when they come up. And we become better able to do that over time. Now, one of the things that I recommend, and I'm all about compartmentalizing, and
yeah.
but still bringing honor to the person that we love whom we lost. Um, so I like to encourage people to, maybe on on the anniversary or a special day, perhaps it was Father's Day, um, just whatever the holiday or their birthday.
Hmm.
Perhaps you could wear their favorite color that day or that week. Or I'm going to serve, it would have been birthday number X. I'm going to serve their favorite meal. Or they always liked red velvet cake. On this day, we have red velvet cupcakes for dessert or something like that.
Yeah.
But don't forget, and you don't have to apologize for honoring that memory. Find a way to honor the memory going
I,
forward.
I love that. And I'm gonna just put in a little shameless thing that we do. When my father did pass, he passed in November
Mm-hmm.
of 2020. And what we decided to do Um, I'm trying to see if I got my dates wrong because it runs together sometimes. 2020 or 2021. But it was in November. It was November 1st. And so what we did was that Christmas, anytime like for his birthday, we had to go somewhere that had steak and that had lobster because that's what he wanted for his birthday was steak and lobster. And so my sister, like, I didn't even know that she was doing it because we rented an Airbnb, and like I have a huge family, and so she bought steaks, baked potatoes, and lobsters for everybody. And when I say it made me feel so good on the inside, I felt that he was there. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, like my dad would have loved this. Or I know he's like in heaven, like, really, y'all? Like, that's what you're gonna do. But it felt so good. And so I thought it would be hard to do it. But it felt good. And so I truly hope that my hope is that someone gravitated to something
Yeah.
in this episode. My hope is that, you know, when you play this episode back, you hear something again that resonates with you. And if you can't find it, if it's something that is still hard, I really I pray, I'm gonna pray first. I pray that God does lead you to a great professional that can help you deal with the emotions, deal with the grief, deal with the healing process, and just hit it head on in due time. And like Dr. Kinsler stated, because I'm going to use this all the time, is that hope. I never really saw it in those terms, but that's why I have you here, so that you can put it in
Yes.
those terms. But the healing comes from knowing and recognizing that there is hope on the other side. And so, what did you say was your mantra of your practice?
Help when life hurts.
Help when life hurts. Help when life hurts. I know you have T-shirts. You have to have some sort of something where that's in your office somewhere.
My daughter is working on that now. She is working on it now. I never thought about it, but yeah, hope, man. And it's
Yeah,
not help if life hurts.
yeah,
It's just when, because it will hurt. There's
yeah.
going to be something for each of us, but we can
Hmm.
still keep going.
Yeah, yeah. So, Dr. Kimberly, Dr. Kimberly Kinsler, thank you so much for being here, my 96th guest.
Yeah,
Like, wow.
pleasure.
Wow. And I've just enjoyed you, and I want to give you the opportunity to promote what you have going on. If you have anything in closing to say, please feel free to do that. This is now your time to do that. But I truly thank you. You are experienced, you're credentialed. Well, she has letters after her name, guys. Okay, so she's legit. Okay. So, Dr. Kinsler, final words.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I am excited. This is fun. This has been fun. It has been great talking to you. It really
Great
has.
talking to you.
And just anytime I can talk about hope, I'm all about hope. So one thing I didn't share is I got married at 17.
You got married at 17.
Yes. So
How do you
yeah,
how do you feel about that, like, today?
I would let my girls do that. I would never. I would let my girls do that. No, and then I got divorced a few years later, and then me and my husband have been married 30 years.
Same person.
So, huh?
Same person?
Oh
Or
no, I divorced that person at
okay, okay,
17.
okay.
There's a
Okay.
complete lack of wisdom at 17, and so later. But I remarried, and I have an awesome husband right now who actually supported me all the way through this whole process and
You better say it.
continue to support me today.
You better
Yeah,
say
all,
it.
all the way through. Back when I didn't have two and nothing to rub together, he's right there. So yes, Yes, 30 years.
Can I just
So
tell you what you just gave me?
what?
You gave me hope.
See?
You just gave me hope that on this new trajectory, I can say that about somebody. Like, he has been here through this journey all the way through. Like, you have given me hope. Like,
Yes.
okay. But this is not about me, not about me. All right, let's focus back on you. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry. But you did. You gave me hope. I'm like, oh, Lord, with a different person. Okay, let's get it.
But this is, I am all about hope. I really and truly am, because that's what keeps us moving forward. If we have hope that when he says, you know, I know the plans that I have for you, and
Yeah.
they're plans to prosper you and help you, that's future oriented. So
Yeah.
if we have hope that that good stuff he has planned for us is going to happen, nothing that we face today will knock us off course. Or it
Yeah.
certainly won't take us under,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because we know that despite what happened, we're still going forward, because he still has a purpose for me and a plan
Yeah.
for me. And so I that is the way I approach my practice. That's the way I approach life. And I am definitely blessed. And I hate to sound like a preacher, but that's just my approach. And I am looking forward to, my books are still in the editing phase, so they're not available, but we will have t-shirts for our Moniker Help When Life Hurts. And so those will be available, because one of my daughters, the one who has a tea business, Fairy Tale Tea,
Yes.
is my marketing director. And so she's,
Awesome.
you know, God has blessed, and she's working with me on that, because this is just, it's a journey. It's a journey, and I'm here to help, and I want to use the gift that God gave me.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm already selling books for you. Now we play this
Yes.
podcast. You're gonna see what somebody said. All right, I'm for the pre-order.
And I'm going to let you know when they come out.
Please do.
I will.
Please
I
do.
absolutely will.
I would love
Absolutely.
to
Yes.
advertise for you. So yes. So I just, thank you, thank you a million times over. Um, I love your spirit. I love just reading about you in your bio, and it's a pleasure to have now finally met you face to face. And so I see why you came highly recommended, and I appreciate all of the knowledge and support that you've offered my Jazzy crew tonight. So thank you so much, Dr. Kimberly Kinsler. I appreciate you.
Awesome. And congratulations again. And thank you all for listening, and give me a chance to just chat with Jazzy. I really enjoyed this.
Listen, when I am able to get to the point where I can announce my 2-year podcast anniversary, the live show, because I take this from off of social media, and I actually go to a venue. We have a live studio audience, and I have a live show. So that is coming up very soon. So as soon as that information comes out, you are definitely
Yes.
invited. And I cannot wait to see you if you're able to come. So
Yeah. So look, me
yes,
and my
I'm
husband
looking
will be
forward
there.
to that.
Thank
You
you.
and your husband will be there.
Hey, 30 years, y'all. 30 years.
30 years. I'm
Yeah.
like, if I you know, I feel in my spirit that if I find him in the next 2 years or so, we can have a 25th anniversary. So God, I know you know my heart. I don't need to talk to you. I'm just like, husband, where you at? Okay. Like, let's go ahead so we can celebrate at least 25 years together, please.
Oh, so
But
funny.
that is absolutely amazing. One thing about me, I do post about love all the time. I love. And so for us to be talking about the topic that we're talking about, and you spin the block and you say one thing that I did not mention, because hold up, sis, you're not going to end this episode without me telling you how great my husband is. That says a lot. That says a lot. That says it all. And you guys have your practice together, correct?
Right. He is not a clinician.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on the admin side, but
Yeah.
he helped me. He's the reason, even, that I was able to do it, because when I couldn't work and had to go to school. There we go.
Yeah, I love it. Yes. Cheers to 30 more years. I think you got
Yes.
30 more years. You got it.
Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Well, I hope you have a very good night. You guys make sure that you are following Dr. Kinsler online. Dr. Kinsler, go ahead and give your social media handle, because when I promote this episode, I definitely will put it in the comment section, or in the description, but definitely tell them how they can keep in contact with you. And, in person, like your number to your office and all of that good stuff.
Yes. Okay. Our social media is at Kinsler Psychology, and we're on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a website, KinslerPsychology.com. And if you are interested in services, we do counseling, testing, and medication management. We do a free autism screening once a month, because I do feel like we should get back. So you have to call in to register for it, but we do a free screening. And our phone number here is 813-443-5311.
Thank you.
And our moniker, Help When Life Hurts.
Help When Life Hurts. I love it. You know what? Just let me know when the t-shirts come out so I can go ahead and purchase one.
I shall.
Get some pins and buttons and all of that good stuff. Help When Life Hurts. Yes. I like it. I like it a lot. So thank you so much, Dr. Kinsler, for being my special guest for episode 96 of the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast. Make sure that you subscribe, you come back for the replay. And if you come back for the replay, let me know what you think about this episode. Now, I can be found here, but I can also be found on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. So I need you to head over to YouTube, and I need you to head over to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe. Hit the notifications bell and rate my podcast. Leave a review. I love to hear your opinions, and I love to hear what you're thinking about, because I think, and I know, I don't want to say I think, I know that this show is divinely purposed to help you and to assist you, because I truly feel that I'm living in my purpose. This is what God has ordained me to do, and I shall continue my purpose work. So remember, now is a dope time for a comeback. I truly believe that you can come back from anything with God, with the right resources, and knowing how to use those resources, and being willing to put in the work. And do not discard counseling, because counseling is a resource. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you back next Monday at 7 p.m. on IG Live. Have a good night. Bye, Dr. Kinsler.
Bye, Jazzy.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.